At Dave Cooper Live, we connect the industry leaders in the architectural, engineering, and construction space with the people, the products, and the processes to help them build it better. All right. What if the next big breakthrough in construction is not a new gadget, but a smarter way to deliver the wall itself? Today's guests are Hal Hinkle, CEO of Global Building Technologies, and Zack Zimmerman, co-founder and chief commercial officer, the team behind PrimeTech, the strategic successor to BamCore, which you might remember. This is essentially BamCore 2.0, combining BamCore's patented framing systems with a new decentralized fabrication model designed for high-speed, low-labor, affordable, low-carbon residential construction across North America. And now with Lewis and Clark Industrial helping deploy AI-driven automated fabrication lines, the goal is not to just build better walls, but to build a better, faster, more scalable system for how housing gets delivered. So today we're going to dig into what PrimeTech really is, why this new chapter matters, and whether this model can truly change the speed, economics, and future of home building. But before we get into any or all of this, we got to have a few words from our supporting members. CombiLift is the largest global manufacturer of multi-directional forklifts and straddle carriers, a leader in long load handling solutions, offering a free warehouse and site optimization design service. CombiLift helps companies of all sizes and from every industry maximize the capacity, safety, and efficiency of their warehouse and storage facilities. A big thank you to Paul Short and the team at CombiLift for helping us all to build it better. Visit them at combilift.com. Every build deserves comfort that lasts. Cobalt Creed helps builders and offsite manufacturers reach new levels of indoor air quality and efficiency. With their proprietary small duct, high-velocity central heating and cooling system, quiet, compact, powerful, Cobalt Creed, building comfort into every building. Learn more at cobaltcreed.com. All right, a big shout out to all of our supporting members and all the supporting members. Yes, see, going through the ticker below. We can't do any or all of this without them. And if you want to be a guest on the Dave Cooper Live Show, pull out your phone. There's the QR code. Click it. Fill out the form. We'd love to have you, or if you know somebody who is truly trying to build it better and make a change in the built environment. I don't care if it's tech. I don't care if it's a startup. I don't care if it's a new shovel. As long as we're trying to change how we build, let's get people back into the houses that they deserve. All right, so we're going to get into this one today. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. We're going to see what happened from BamCore to PrimeTech. Is it the same or is it different? Let's bring Hal and Zack onto the show. Hal, Zack, how are you?
Good morning.
Well, good morning to you both. So where are you two lovely gentlemen sitting at today?
We're at my house because Hal's wonderful and beautiful property in northern Sonoma County tethers off of satellites that sometimes don't want to perform the best. And I've got high-speed internet. So we're here at
Well,
my
that's, I
lovely
mean,
house.
listen, I mean, Hal, if I recall, you're basically on a farm and you do most of your work and your office is in a barn, is it not?
It is. It is. It happens to be called the BamCore barn, and it was the
Yeah.
third building we built with BamCore. And it's a beauty, and that's where I do work today.
Well, I love it. Love it. All right. Before we get into the show and what PrimeTech is and what happened with BamCore, we want to know everything about the two of you. So, if you would, Hal, why don't you start off? Give us your background, where you come from, where you been that led us up to BamCore PrimeTech. And then, Hal, I'll let you do that as well. The floor is yours.
Great. I'm a native Californian, and I'm happy to be back in California. But I spent my first 22 years at Goldman Sachs, mostly in New York, and almost everything I did was new product lines. So startups within a major company. And then I left Goldman and did a startup outside of Goldman, which was to convert from analog to digital in a very complicated trading system that went on to sell ultimately to the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Very successful transaction and innovation at that time. Then I distracted myself and went to back to Columbia for medical school to get a PhD. That though was overtaken by my observations that I should not focus on things that were fun for me, but I should focus on things that are important for others. And that was climate. And that got me into the situation with BamCore because I thought BamCore could do something significant relative to climate and building, and that was worthwhile. Today, we've taken BamCore and now looked at the new world, where the new world brings in AI, and the new world, we have to understand that we're deglobalizing supply chains. And so the new company addresses that new world where AI, local supply chains, and affordability become the key issues.
Love it. Love it. And Zack, I mean, you're like a business guru genius when it comes to building companies and everything else. Let's hear a little bit about you.
Oh man. Well, I'm blessed to be a seventh generation northern Sonoma County resident. Family's been here for a very long time. Started in farming, actually on the side of dairy, and but what brought me into this was my dad. My dad also grew up on a ranch in Bodega Bay, Northern California. And when he got out of the armed forces in Vietnam, he went straight into construction. And so, the joke is when I came out of the womb, I already had my first set of leathers, bags, for those that don't know, set aside. And because he's a true master of his trade and a true expert, I got to learn from the best and the most humble person that you could probably ever meet. He's a lovely man and he knows his stuff. And I fell in love with him and his craft. He built a lot of wineries up in Sonoma and Napa counties. And so I kind of grew this affinity for construction, but also wine industry. So part of my collegiate career was 3 degrees and a couple minors, and 2 of those degrees were wine business focused, and the other one was construction management. That way I always had construction in the bag if I wanted to go back to it. So early part of my career, I played in the wine side of things, and that's actually how I met Hal. And then in a very funny way, he brought me back into the construction industry, and so we've been doing that. I don't know.
Too long.
We've been doing it for a while. I've been with my significant other for 25 years this August, and the next biggest the next biggest milestone I have is with this guy at 13 years, 14 years. My gosh,
13 or 14 years. Well, here, let's give an applause, to that many years, that by itself. And it's funny. I say it all the time on the show. Where did this idea come from? Were you sitting in a bar, drawing it out of a napkin, right? And here you two are drinking vino and coming up with solving the world's problems when it comes to affordability and housing. So, listen, we have
to take the credit. There is an original founder, and he had a brilliant idea. And Hal wanted to build the most sustainable thing he could on his property, and his builder at the time introduced us to this gentleman, William, and he was the man who first came up with the concept. Now, we've gone through so many iterations of the product since then, and we turned it into a builder's product, instead of a custom product. And that was the challenge, right? It took time to figure out how to bring that product into a builder's hands.
Right. Well, let's kind of talk about that. We have a roughly a 4-minute video that really explains the whole PrimeTech process, and we're going to hop into that in just a moment. So if you guys want to see a cool video that really explains this in a nice animated way as well as a visual way, we're going to do that. But for some of our viewers that remember who BamCore was, right? Because we had you on the show, I think we were talking like 2 years ago, 2024, 2023. What happened to BamCore itself, and why did you start making this switch into the new company?
Well, there's two key things. Three things. First, the company was driven to be a climate solution for residential building, and the impetus for climate solutions in construction weakened over the last 4 to 5 years. So that's the first factor. The second factor is that the supply chain, with the potential for changing tariffs, the supply chain, which was global, bamboo coming from outside the U.S., we had to onshore the supply chain. And so we had to basically reinvent the product so that we could use domestic plywood, often to our specification. And then the third is AI. AI is as significant a driver of innovation as climate ever could be. And during this period, we've learned a great deal, and our application of AI, which I think the video will partly address, isn't just in the making our processes more efficient. It is in making the product a better product fundamentally for the buyer, for the builder, so that when we deliver it out, it is optimized for every possible constraint of cost, carbon, structure, acoustics, and thermal. In what we're building in now into the system through a patented approach that we have, we want to be able to give builders going forward the ability to choose and rank those priorities and then deliver the optimal the optimal solution for it.
So fundamentally, BamCore is the same technology, right? It's kind of with a new company around it, with a new process, integrating new technology, AI, and a different systemized approach. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, so think of the wall system, right? We re-envisioned the wall system in the very first generation so that it had no studs, literally no studs, right, which addressed the thermal. Now we've gone through 4 generations of walls, and all of them are still available depending upon the customer's desire, right? And as we've moved from more custom to more production, we've been able to bring down our unit cost, but we have a selection. Depends on what the customer really, really is going for. And in the background, then we've re-engineered our panels that go into the wall system, and now add to that we've put AI through our own operations and in the way that we re-engineer jobs when we get them. In the year, 2 years ahead, we'll be able to give customers solutions that are more efficient than is coming out of standard engineering.
Is it a single panel wall? So when I remember, like you said, it had no studs. If I recall, it had a nice hollow core to it, right?
Yep.
with all the MEPs. Everything was pre-drilled. It was structurally sound. If I recall, 4 to 5 stories it was approved for, right to the RC code. Is this new system we're going to see the same wall, or is it a single panel with studs?
We do incorporate more studs, but we still have that MEP speed solution by printing it on the panels. The customer can pick their level of wall solution. But what's important for us, we've looked at modular versus panelized walls, and we believe that the best labor, the fastest solution for on-site requires that off-site only produce flat-packed 4-foot wide panels. So as the video will show, what we deliver out are palletized, ordered panels that are all only 4 feet wide. And that limits the amount of change and the amount of learning that the on-site crew needs to do. The on-site crew is the key to speed and efficiency.
But that dual panel system, which is called Duo Shear, is still one of the offerings. There's the video focuses on Prime 24 Plus. We have another product that's going to be launched hopefully within the next 6 months that is a variant on Prime 24 Plus. But the Duo Shear very much is still an active product and is, utilized in a lot of your party walls or your corridor walls where you need additional sound attenuation benefits without the use of resilient channels and extras. There's a lot of ways to get to that, output that you desire as a designer.
And we'll myself, Jennifer, somebody on the team here will actually put a link to the original BamCore video interview that we did so people can truly see, what was the original side and where this is going. All right, let's get into this. I love the name of this video called Solve the Wall. And I'll ask you about that after we're done, but let's put Solve the Wall on and see what people can learn from.
So this video,
well, I'm going to get the sound on here for you.
One that demands smarter, more...
There we go.
North America has long been in the grip of a housing crisis. One that demands smarter, more scalable solutions. We're short nearly 4 million homes. Construction labor productivity hasn't improved in over 2 decades. And by 2027, we'll be short nearly 500,000 skilled workers. Meanwhile, builders are trapped using the same inefficient methods from 50 years ago. Here's what most people don't know. 65% of roof trusses in America are built off-site. It's faster, safer, more accurate, and reduces labor. But walls? Only 2% are built off-site. Walls alone represent a $13 billion market opportunity that's ripe for disruption. This is where PrimeTech comes in.
There's some
Built on the award-winning Prime Wall, our platform becomes the engine for something much larger. We're not just selling walls, we're unlocking 3 revenue streams from the same core technology. Case 1 is the vertical walls plus truss distribution model. Our Prime Wall is custom fabricated off-site using locally available materials and installed faster than traditional framing, with far less skilled labor required. Our compact fabrication lines cost just $1.25 million and can produce over 1,000 homes per year. They fit perfectly alongside the 2,000 existing truss plants across North America. Case 2 is the AI-driven design. Our team spent 9 years building a proprietary digital design platform. Now we're integrating AI to optimize every building envelope, automatically analyzing structural loads, thermal requirements, and cost trade-offs. This can save builders up to 15% on materials while slashing design time by 71%. We already hold patents covering this optimization approach. Case 3 is turnkey takeoffs. Our platform generates millimeter-accurate maps of every wall. That means we can automatically produce material takeoffs for siding, insulation, drywall, windows, doors, electrical, and plumbing. These takeoffs can become high-margin add-on revenue with every job. These three cases reinforce each other, creating a powerful flywheel effect. Why haven't others cracked this market? Off-site modular is too CapEx expensive and slow. 3D printing is limited to single stories and still needs traditional roofs. Standard panelized walls still require cranes and specialized labor. Our Prime wall is different. It's installed by small framing crews, needs no crane, and includes color-coded installation instructions printed directly on the panels. Like paint by numbers for construction, and it can be installed in as little as 2 hours. We're not starting from scratch. We're building on proven IP research, equipment, and market validation from BamCore. We have committed orders from a developer for over 200 homes and are in discussion with other national builders. Additionally, we're targeting the Los Angeles fire rebuild market, where more than 20,000 homes are waiting to be constructed. Our first fabrication line is operational in Oregon, with early deliveries just getting underway. The construction industry is at a once-in-a-generation opportunity. Housing demand could soar with falling interest rates and policy support. PrimeTech isn't just replacing studs with panels. We're changing how walls are designed, manufactured, and installed, turning the building envelope into a scalable platform for speed, cost, and performance, following the same successful path as roof trusses. With the vision, technology, and momentum to redefine the future of construction, PrimeTech isn't waiting for change. We're building it. Let's build it together.
I love that, right? So you're basically saying, hey, listen, we already have an established truss manufacturing network across the country. Hell, excuse my French, across the world, to be quite honest, right? It's kind of common everywhere. And you're saying, well, they figured out how to already get the distribution network where it needs to be for 60%, 80%. There was a number in that, I don't remember, for the builders that are using it. Doesn't it make sense that we just follow the same footprint that they've already created over these 100 years of doing trusses and say, let's supplement the lines now with the walls? What's the difference between a roof and a wall? Really, honestly, what's different? Nothing. It's structural. Yes, it holds MEPs and all that, but that's why they made web trusses, right? So you can do MEPs and all that stuff. Love it. Go ahead. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this whole thing.
So the truss model, remember, it also delivers flat packed, right?
Yeah.
And on site, the same framers, they know how to put up the trusses. They're pretty straightforward. Now, if we deliver large walls, we need cranes, and the connection of the corners of large walls requires a different kind of framer. It's not the everyday framer. Mm-hmm. But with our system, it can also be delivered flat pack. And when it's on the job site, it's the same framers, same framers that do the roof. And some of the innovations that we have coming, there's a planned, designed integration between the cords of the truss and the top of the wall system. So they're integrated to allow the fastest around the building connection for all the trusses. And you're right. There are something like 2,000 truss manufacturing facilities in the US. And one of the differences between the old BamCore, we were going to have 2 large manufacturing centers dealing with a lot of imported custom ply material. And now the new generation, the Prime 24 and the Prime 24 Plus, they can be built out of local supplied plywood, just like a lumberyard provides into a truss manufacturer for the dimensional lumber.
I'm going to let the Prime 24 video play while we talk a little bit. Let's get to the core of the problems that you're solving with this, right? When we look at this industry, PrimeTech is solving, labor, right? And you're basically making it, paint by numbers is what you said. Let's dive into that a little bit more. Like, when you thought about this, how do you simplify it? We need to get more work done with less people. How do we do that? Walk us through the labor side of this and the cost savings that you guys came up with.
Yeah, I mean, really, there's 2 different colored nail patterns, and the nail patterns follow the engineering specific to that structure. And the nails that are used are all off the shelf nails. There's nothing custom about it. So it doesn't matter where we're distributing. You can go to your local supply house and get that material. The one thing that we found is the gap between laborers and foremans on site that could read and understand plans, right? You usually have one individual that is an expert on that, and then they kind of push out, tasks. And what we wanted to do was to be able to make it, no English required. In fact, everything that we do in both English and Spanish. So, all the instructions, plans, if they require them, our digital output, even nomenclature on the panels can be double language. But it's literally number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. And what's been fun about it is getting the inspectors trained on the dots. As long as they see a nail on the dot, and then they cross-reference the engineering, they know that they're meeting all of their shear schedules and their nailing patterns are, to spec. So to be able to have a labor pool that we're faced with that is shrinking, in one way, this was the ability for us to broaden that labor pool, right? Almost spark a new generation of framers that can come out and get some really good work in and have a great living at it. You still need to have your brain turned on. It's construction. Not everyone is meant for construction. And, we like to say we're just one piece of the puzzle that this national supply deficit that we're faced with needs to be attacked, right? There's a lot of really good other companies out there, and not one is going to solve for all. But what we're trying to do is just be an additional answer, right? Have that additional tool in the tool belt for someone to be able to utilize. And so if you're faced with, a shrinking labor pool, if you're faced with challenges of inspections or timelines, the most expensive part of construction industry is carrying that note of how long do you have to actually turn that unit around to get a head and a bed. And what developers want are heads and beds. So the faster you can do it, the more successful you're going to be. And that is what drives us. What drives us is the ability to provide this material on site to where every door opening is millimeter accurate cut, right? Every window is a true RO to what the window manufacturers specify. Part of our AI integration is once we know what the window and door specs are, that will go in and automatically make sure that there's all those ROs are perfect to what the package is that is being delivered. All of this printing even translates to the inside. So footprints for single gang to quad gang boxes, locations for your plumbing, your hot lines, your cold water lines, your drain vents, your slopes. I mean, in 4-story buildings, we've actually printed slopes that start, in the upper 4th or 5th floor and transition all the way down. So once your plumbers are walking floor to floor, they're maintaining that slope that is required to their specs.
And all this is done in the design phase.
All of it.
And it's not common to integrate everything in the design phase. But because we basically have a design for manufacturing requirement, because everything is going to be cut out and printed on CNC machines, we end up with a digital twin of the building. That's the key of what we have. And given that we have a digital twin of the building, a 3D BIM model, we can do everything else that doesn't get done today. And that's how we expand the opportunity. It is likely that we'll be able to integrate additional products around it over time. And the longest phase of a new project is the design phase. And with AI, there's no reason for it to take as long as it does.
Yeah.
If you can build the optimization model for a standard model house, it's not hard, then everything can happen really weeks and weeks and weeks faster. Yeah. And that's going to add up. Of course, the whole impetus in the beginning was the on-site speed. Yeah. That's still there. And now we should be able to add to it these speed in the design phase as well.
Let's talk about the speed. What is the typical speed, compared to a traditional site builder, the way we used to do it? Walk us through that. Like if I'm a builder or developer, okay, great. You simplified it for my labor pool. It's plug and play. You simplified it for the building inspector. But,
Sure.
like Zach said, heads on beds. What's my speed here?
So, any good framing crew, they're a well-oiled machine, right? The smaller the unit, they're going to be able to bang that out pretty quick. So where we start to see economies of scale happen are on, multiple single family developments and multifamily developments. And where we've seen some of the speeds get down to are just, they're unbelievably fast. We've seen 5-man crews frame a 2,800 square foot house in just a few hours. And by the time they hit lunch and they're done with lunch, they're flying trusses, they're sheeting that roof, and they're now ready for, a full shear inspection. At the end of BamCore proper, we even saw some builders get down to where they had the entire shell up, and if not all, the majority of their interior walls done as well. So, they're flying, right? A good panel product, whether that's traditional stick or us, is fast. It is really fast. And then it's the interaction of all the other trades through that continues that process and that speed. So again, it's heads and beds, inspections. Inspections take time. Sometimes you have to wait, a couple of days to get an inspector out to make sure that you've achieved that shear or you've achieved that 4-way. With us, we have seen a general acceleration of all of that come through, especially in party walls. We've seen a reduction, of 1 to 2 inspections because of just the unique way in nature our party walls go up for, fire inspections, shear inspections, and insulation inspections.
Yeah, and I'm going to put your CNC machine video up here while we're talking as well, just to, kind of reiterate some of the things you're saying here. So one of the other things in this where I see a time savings, and correct me if I'm wrong, is if you're simplifying the process for the trades, you're simplifying the process for the building inspector, because now he doesn't need to walk around with plans because everything's printed on the wall and you can see the lines and the dots and where everything goes. You're also you're saving time with him having to figure things out on site. So you're giving time back to them. But on the other side of it, you have less rework because it's you could visually see that, no, the outlet doesn't go there. Just put it where the blue line is or whatever, right? Or the marks. So, because that's a big thing, is all the rework stuff that has to happen. And I think it becomes just more simplified overall.
The key for that starts in the design phase, right? And the way you achieve it now is you go through an infinite number of RFIs all the way through. However, if you rethink the design phase and you're doing, structural and performance optimization, you can get to a place you've never been before. And that's how we're bringing AI into the design phase to shorten that. You can only achieve the on-site efficiencies if you're delivering a millimeter accurate product.
Now, but Dave, let's be clear here, right? This is construction, and construction is not perfect. Construction doesn't generally deal with 1/4-inch tolerances. So some of the unique attributes of our panel system happens to actually come from our shiplap design, how the panels come together. If you get to a job site and say your concrete pour is off, and trust me, we've been to sites where we've been faced with a parallelogram. And what do? Well, normally if you're site building that, you just adjust to it. Unique thing with us is if we know that an elevation has to grow, you can start to grow that elevation as needed. If that elevation needs to shrink, what do? Well, when you're cutting your OSB, what are you doing? You're flattening it, you're putting a chalk line, and you're ripping it. If a panel for some reason has to get ripped, it can be ripped on site. So we're not, even though, a lot of people look at this and they're like, whoa, millimeter accurate. Like, wow, okay, this is, that's like perfect, but it doesn't have to be. It is construction. And to be able to work on your feet, as a tradesman, that's a do or die, right? And so to be able to have those abilities and that flexibility in field, I think is also what makes, this an additional, it's an additional tool.
Right. Well, it is. I mean, it's another tool in a builder's toolkit, right? I mean, it is depending on, what you're faced with out there. This solves a lot of problems. It does solve the labor problem. It solves the speed problem. And I think, it solves the process of getting building permits, getting approvals, getting through design, which I want to get into now, right? Is the workflow problem. Hal, you were mentioning earlier, and Zack, that this speeds up design by using AI. So, everybody's now using AI, right? So where is the real value in your system that AI is creating for the broader market? Like what's the difference?
So most of the application of AI coming into construction and construction design right now is going from the basic 2D model, even an AutoCAD model is a 2D model, into a 3D model that can be designed for manufacturing. And and there's dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen firms trying to make that 2D to 3D transition more efficient. Not a problem. We're doing it too. That's just making our operations more efficient. But what we're doing on top of that is we're using the more advanced forms of AI, machine learning underneath large language models, to be able to optimize the resulting structure. Some people really want a green characteristic. Some people want an extremely opaque party wall for acoustics. And depends on what the customer, the builder wants, that can be prioritized in a optimization routine so that once the 3D model is built, the machine language will go around it very quickly and optimize to a set of parameters or constraints. That's entirely new. Mm-hmm. And honestly, where some of that focus has happened, it's been in large commercial structures, and nobody's bringing it down to residential. And to me, that's where the big value will end up being. And that is what's going to drive affordability for the builder and the ultimate customer, is we can design better homes. Of the 250 BamCore buildings that have been built, most recently, as we watch how a set of optimized, we don't want to use the word optimized, a set of plans from an engineer comes into us, it can still be optimized after that to reduce cost and increase speed.
Yeah. Even like being able to reduce steel moment frames. Take an example of a multifamily townhome in a high seismic area, right? Where under normal constraints with just 16-inch on center framing, they may not want to use a portal frame. They may want to use something more robust because that's the tools that they have. But then to be able to take our design values, our technology, integrate that in with the technologies and the design values of traditional framing, you can now optimize that entire structure and determine, well, wait a minute, if your product is getting substituted into this, it's going to observe this shear capacity, this transverse load, whatever it may be, and then output how to do it. And you probably can remove a lot of instances like high cost steel moment frames that are having to be built on site, welded on site. Look, commercial construction has lived in BIM for a long, long time. Right. With the influx of AI throughout this, and one thing that we kind of did early on was we drove smaller builders into BIM because we had the forced output of creating all of that metadata to begin with, because we would take that in, have to 3D dimensionalize that structure and look for clash detection when they normally just don't, right? I mean, you have a general set with very loose MEP designs, and we were taking that and making it more precise. So that way we knew how much line of wire is going to be needed. We knew how much, all the way down to the cubic feet of insulation was going to be required.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Understand. So, I mean, listen, for those, even for myself, right? AI, like if I just need to rewrite something better, I can analyze how I wrote it and remember how I speak and what curse words I use, what curse words I don't use, and rewrite it for me. And I send it out and I look brilliant, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about, because we're getting low on time here, distributed fabrication, right? You guys, PrimeTech, when I say you guys, talks about, kind of an outsourced distributed fabrication strategy. What does that mean in practical terms for people watching?
Yeah, so we had to learn from our prior model, which was 2 big hubs, right, to reflect what does the industry really do, and that is the Truss model. Given that we can, in the current generation that we're bringing to market, we can use locally sourced plywood of different thicknesses. Given that that's the case, we don't need hubs anymore. And it's like the example I gave. Truss manufacturers are using dimensional lumber either from their own stock or from some local lumberyard. And it's essentially the same. But what we've had to do is then create the fabrication line as simple as possible, because it's not a truss. It doesn't take a lot of square footage. And as advanced engineering in the line itself, and Lewis and Clark is helping with that, so that we can do the millimeter accurate cutting, and we can do the millimeter accurate but fully reflect the design printing on the panel. And so the new line, which we estimate will cost around $1.25 million, can produce 1,000 houses a year. That new line basically has these 2 modules of a CNC and what will become an inkjet printer that'll print on both sides. And from there, they just get palletized and delivered out to the job site.
Right.
Yeah, and so the fabrication speed is quick. The videos that we show, we've dialed down the CNC's output so people can follow it. Otherwise, it's just a blur.
Yeah, it's just zing, zing, zing.
So, I mean, I love the part that it's 1.25 million or roughly for the equipment and to set up the new line, right? For the fabrication process of the panels. One of the things we didn't talk about is, and I saw in the comments there from Joel as well is, what is the true cost? Like, what is the savings to, I'm a builder. Is this going to affect my bottom line, not just on speed to market, right? Sure. We all know, like, especially the big developers and builders, I mean, they work on 5 to 10%, margins if they're lucky. And that's what they care about hearing first. So from your research and from working with, you said, was it D.R. Horton, I think, in the video, right? Was it right? That you have a partnership
in video, but Horton has been a supporter,
yes,
and an adopter,
right? So you're working with one of the big. It was in the video, one of the bigger players there. What are they seeing in the value?
So a lot of big builders, when they look at products like us, they know, and we're unbelievably transparent. We're not as inexpensive as bundled stick dropped to the site for then everything else to be, added into it. We have a solutions approach. So when we're talking about acoustics, when we're talking about thermal, when we're talking about speed and efficiencies, we have a nut that we have to break, right? Here's us, and here's just traditional material to material. So what we often do is when we go through a pricing process for a developer is we show them, we effectively give them the tools to run their analysis. We show them, what their thermal R is going to be. And the envelope is a huge driver in costs, because that will then determine like the load requirements that you need, which is going to specify your HVAC equipment. So to be able to size down your HVAC equipment to address the load scenarios for that structure, to be able to address the air tightness, everything that goes into it, it's a solutions approach. And when we get down to it, we have the supporters of some of these larger developers, not because we're more expensive. They can't afford to pass on a more expensive product. But if they are taking a solutions approach and they look at all of the value adds, it's a little cheesy, but I like to say, if you have a small pond and you throw a pebble in the middle of that pond, you can watch the ripples go from shore to shore. That is kind of what PrimeTech represents. There are so many different little avenues that it hits, where it'll either eliminate a line item or reduce the cost of another line item. So up front, we're more expensive. up front
on a pure comparison.
On a pure comparison. It's an engineered good, right? You have 7, 9 inputs for a single output, but that single output has the ability to make up that gap. You know, Joel in the background, I hope that clears it up. But we're not, you know, if you call a lumberyard and say, hey, what is your traditional panelized stick product versus your just bundled stick or unitized stick,
always more.
And they're going to, you know, give you a cost on it. It doesn't work like that with us. We have to take a holistic, total top down and bottom up view. But the developers that we work with, they very much know and appreciate that. And then they see it. They come to their own conclusion. It's not us forcing an agenda. They come to their own conclusion, and that's how we then get to move forward and win jobs.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's industrialized construction at its core, right? Because you can't look at it, you know, stick by stick, because it's a whole process and it's a system, and you have to understand the entire system all the way through insurance, not just the framing aspect, right? There's a whole lot of savings that happens, you know, far beyond just, hey, my 2x4 is more than your 2x4, right? It's a bigger comparison than that. Love it.
Yep.
So let's kind of wrap it up. I got 2 more questions. LCI partnership, right? Lewis and Clark Industrial. How's that working for you? What's that all about? Can you give us some insight there?
Yeah, the gentleman who owns LCI is named Tom Scott. He was an executive at Louisiana Pacific in the first LVL days, and really knows how to bring new products like engineered wood in. He was also the head of Globe Manufacturing, which is the company that makes mills, right? So Tom has both knowledge of bringing engineered wood products to market, and he knows how to make mills. So we've been working with Tom for more than 10 years. He's a partner of ours. He's an investor of ours. He's a friend of ours. And that partnership with his insights and our core technology, we think we can take to a place that people have not seen yet.
Yeah.
Got it. That's good to know. All right. Last question, gentlemen. Then I'm going to ask you if I missed anything. So it could be the last question. We'll see how it all plays out. But as we look at the future of PrimeTech, right? Are you a framing company? Are you a manufacturing platform? Or is there something even bigger coming down the pipeline?
It needs to be bigger because the problem is bigger.
Yep.
And our approach has always been to be the innovator or to propose innovation into the industry. We've learned an enormous amount from our customers over those first 250 buildings that we've got done. And as I said earlier, because we end up creating this 3D BIM model, which has all the information about a building for a residential building, we can do things that really haven't been done in the industry before. And with that, we can expand from where we are right now, which is this panelized wall solution. We can go in many directions, either across the envelope or up or down. And all of that is really a game for innovation that can come out of a core technology. And if you remember that we want to be able to do the optimization on the customer's parameters, if we have the whole building now held, you know, within a digital model that can handle that, I think there's a much bigger gameplay and solution that we can bring to market.
Yeah, and we're an output for what can be an accelerated timeline. So we don't have to do everything ourselves. We do have discussions with other players, including modular players that want to bring in our material to help accelerate their output. So that picture will continue to grow. And what we see today, I guarantee you, is not what is going to be observed tomorrow, because we have to be nimble. We have to be able to adopt to what the industry needs. So our goal is to remain flexible, continue to add that value that our products bring to the market for developers, but then look as much outside the box as possible and can just continue to add value-added products for the industry to utilize.
Gentlemen, is there anything that I missed that's important that you want to make sure you get out there?
For me, there's just one thought that we began as a green building company, deeply committed to that goal. And over the period of time, we've been at it a little more than 10 years now. Over that period of time, with the advent of AI, we now understand the importance of affordability. And we are shifting everything we are doing to that goal. And so it's going to be the speed, it's going to be the cost, it's going to be the design, it's going to be the integration of other systems, it's going to be partnering with a lot of other parties, all ultimately with the goal of the builder's affordability.
And the whole green side of things can actually be a whole other hour talk. But we'd be remiss to say that we are still not a green company, because the products
still there.
The products delivered to the site still have an unbelievable carbon story. And in some developers, that is still very important to them, right? They're looking for a zero net energy building. They're looking for a carbon neutral building. And there are a lot of pathways when integrating our product to be able to achieve that.
Gentlemen, I love it. Thank you so much. Here's their website, by the way. If everybody wants to go check them out, primetech.build, link down below. Gentlemen, I really appreciate both of you joining me on the show today. This was great. I love the fact that it's actually coming from the heart, right? It's coming from, we want to do something better for the planet. And by the way, while we're doing it, we're going to give you a better system, a better built structure, a lower carbon footprint, a healthier home, and hopefully save you money as you're building it, and hopefully save you money as you're living in it. That's the whole idea here, right?
Yep, it is.
Dave, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I love it. I love it. Don't go anywhere. I'll come back to you both after the show. But for the rest of you out there, listen, we'd love to have you on the Dave Cooper Live show. There's a link right up there. If you pull out that phone, you hit that QR code with your phone. Those of you watching, you want to come back on, you've been on the show. We want people that are truly making a change coming on the show. And again, we can't do any or all of this without all the supporting members. So if you'd like to support us and be part of the Dave Cooper Live tribe, I just made that up. Sounds kind of cool, actually. I might keep that one. Please reach out to us. Our website has a ton of information, a ton of contact forms, and we're always looking for the next greatest thing right there. Use your QR code with your phone and join us. All right, everybody, listen, it's Monday. You still got 4.5 days to keep building it better. I'm Dave Cooper. Appreciate everybody. Thank you for watching. Bye now. What an amazing show. Thank you to all of our sponsors for helping us to continue to bring all of these innovative conversations to all of you out there. Please visit them, see what they have to offer you, and as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring that bell. It would mean the world to us. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching.